The old woman's eyes filled with tears when she saw Jeff walk into the hospital room. Her voice was barely a whisper, but the words cut straight through his soul. "Will you sing to me one last time, my beautiful boy?" What happened in that sterile hospital room over the next hour didn't just mark the end of a life, it became the moment Jeff Buckley understood what music was truly for, and why some songs are too sacred to ever perform again. New York Presbyterian Hospital, September 23, 1996, 3rd floor, room 314. The kind of room where time moves differently, where every breath sounds amplified, where the fluorescent lights seem too bright for the gravity of what's happening. Outside, Manhattan continues its relentless pace, millions of people rushing toward futures they assume they'll have. Inside this room, the future has narrowed to hours, maybe less. Anna Buckley lies in the hospital bed, 87 years old, her body finally surrendering to the cancer that's been consuming her for 8 months. She's Jeff's grandmother on his mother's side, the woman who raised Mary when Mary's own mother couldn't cope with single parenthood in 1950s California. Anna, who taught Jeff his first chord on guitar when he was 6. Anna, who always believed he was destined for greatness, even when he couldn't see it himself. Jeff sits in the uncomfortable visitor chair, holding her hand. Her skin feels like paper, so thin, he's afraid too firm a grip might bruise her. She's been drifting in and out of consciousness for 3 days. The doctors say it won't be much longer. Hours, not days, maybe less. But today Anna is lucid. More lucid than she's been in weeks. Her eyes, though clouded with pain medication, still hold the sharp intelligence that helped her survive the Depression, World War II, raising 3 children alone when her husband died young, still hold the love that never wavered, even when Jeff was struggling to find himself in his 20s. "Jeffrey," she whispers. Her voice sounds like autumn leaves. "Come closer." Jeff leans forward, bringing his ear near her mouth. Her breath is shallow, labored, but her words are clear. "I've been thinking about that song. The one you wrote about missing people who are still alive. What was it called?" Jeff knows immediately which song she means. "Last Goodbye." "Yes, that one." She pauses to gather strength. "But I want to hear the other one. The one you sang to me last Christmas. Just the 2 of us in the kitchen while Mary was making dinner. Do you remember?" Jeff's throat tightens. He remembers. "Hallelujah. That's the one. Will you sing it to me? One last time?" The request hangs in the air like a prayer. Jeff feels tears starting, tries to hold them back. This is what she wants. What she needs. But the thought of singing Hallelujah, Leonard Cohen's masterpiece about broken love and spiritual yearning, to his dying grandmother feels too enormous, too final, too sacred for his voice to carry. But this is Anna. The woman who never asked him for anything except to be happy. The woman who scraped together money she didn't have to buy him his first real guitar when he was 16. The woman who came to every early performance in dingy clubs, sitting in the back beaming with pride while drunk college kids talked through his sets. "Of course, Grandma. Of course I'll sing to you." But here's where it gets impossible to bear. Jeff pulls his chair closer to the bed, takes Anna's hand in both of his. Her fingers are cold, but they squeeze back when he squeezes, still strong. Even now, still fighting. He starts softly, almost speaking more than singing. Leonard Cohen's words about hearing a secret chord, about faith and doubt intertwined, about the complexity of human connection. But Jeff's not thinking about Leonard Cohen. He's thinking about Anna teaching him to braid hair on her old dolls when he was 7, and other kids made fun of him for having long curls. He's thinking about her sitting up with him when he had pneumonia at age 10, reading him stories until her voice gave out. He's thinking about the night he called her, crying after his first real heartbreak, and how she listened for 3 hours without once suggesting he should get over it. As Jeff sings, something shifts in the room. The harsh hospital lighting seems to soften, the mechanical sounds of monitors and ventilation systems fade into background whisper. Anna's breathing, which has been struggling and irregular for days, begins to sync with the rhythm of the song. Her eyes never leave his face. Even as the morphine makes her drift, even as the pain medication clouds her vision, she watches him with absolute attention, like she's memorizing every detail, like she's storing this moment somewhere beyond physical memory. "Hallelujah, Hallelujah, hallelujah. Jeff's voice breaks slightly on the final chorus, but Anna's grip on his hand tightens, encouraging him, giving him her strength even as her own fades. When the song ends, the silence in the room is profound. Sacred. Anna keeps holding his hand, keeps looking at his face. Beautiful boy, she whispers. My beautiful, beautiful boy. They sit in silence for several minutes. Jeff can hear his mother Mary talking quietly with doctors in the hallway, can hear the elevator dinging as visitors come and go. Life continuing around them while time stands still in room 314. Then Anna speaks again, her voice even quieter now. Jeffrey, I need to tell you something about your music, about why you sing. Jeff leans closer. People think music is entertainment, something to fill silence or make people dance or sell records. But that's not why God gave you that voice. She pauses, gathering energy for what she needs to say. Your voice is medicine, not the kind doctors prescribe, but the kind souls need. When you sing, you remind people they're not alone with their pain. You help them feel things they've been too scared to feel. That's holy work, Jeffrey. That's sacred work. Jeff nods, unable to speak. But here's what I need you to understand. And this is important. Her grip on his hand intensifies. The song you just sang to me? That's not a song anymore. That's a prayer. And prayers this powerful, prayers sung with this much love, they can't be performed for audiences. They become too sacred for stages. Jeff doesn't understand what she means, but he nods anyway. Promise me something. Anna continues. Promise me you'll never sing Hallelujah in concert again. Not after today. Some songs are too precious to share. Some songs belong only to the people we love. Grandma. Promise me. The intensity in her fading voice stops him short. I promise. Anna smiles then, the first real smile Jeff has seen from her in weeks. Good. Now I can go. Don't say that. Is that just, Jeffrey? I'm 87 years old. I've buried my husband, my parents, 2 of my children. I've seen wars and depressions and changes I never imagined when I was young. I'm tired, sweetheart. I'm ready. She pauses, studying his face. But I'm not afraid anymore, because I know now what heaven sounds like. It sounds like your voice singing hallelujah to someone you love. And that's when Jeff breaks. The tears he's been holding back for days pour out. Not just grief for Anna, but grief for all the losses he's carried. His father's death before they could know each other. His brother Scott's overdose, the weight of trying to honor family legacy while creating his own identity. All of it pours out in that hospital room while Anna holds his hand and lets him cry. It's okay, she whispers. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to miss people. That's how you know the love was real. They sit together as afternoon turns to evening. Jeff sings quietly, not performances, just songs. Lullabies Anna sang to him when he was small and staying at her house. Folk songs she learned during the war. Christmas carols even though it's September, because Anna always said beautiful music doesn't have seasons. Mary comes in periodically, checks on them both, brings coffee. Jeff doesn't drink and sandwiches he can't eat. She can see what's happening, understands this is their time together, their goodbye. Around 8 p.m., Anna's breathing becomes more labored, more irregular. Jeff can see her fighting to stay present, fighting to keep her eyes open. Grandma, it's okay. You can rest. Not yet, she whispers. One more thing. Jeff waits. When I was young, during the Depression, we didn't have much. No money, barely enough food, no certainty about anything. But my mother, your great-grandmother, she would sing to us children every night before bed. Didn't matter how hard the day was. Didn't matter how scared we were about tomorrow. Every night she sang. Anna's voice is getting weaker, but her words are clear. That's when I learned the truth about music. It's not about having the perfect voice or knowing all the right notes. It's about love made audible. It's about turning feeling into sound so the people you care about know they're not alone. She looks directly into Jeff's eyes. That's what you did for me today, Jeffrey. You made love audible. And now whenever I hear music, wherever I am, I'll remember that love has a voice, and it sounds like my grandson singing hallelujah to me in a hospital room. Those are her last coherent words. Anna Buckley dies at 3:17 a.m. on September 24, 1996. Jeff is holding her hand. Mary is sleeping in the chair by the window. The death is peaceful. Anna simply stops breathing between one moment and the next, as if she's stepped from one room into another. The funeral is small, family, a few longtime neighbors, some people from Anna's church. Jeff doesn't perform, doesn't sing, can't even speak during the service. The grief feels too large for his voice to hold, but 3 days after the funeral, something happens. Jeff is in his apartment, going through Anna's belongings that Mary asked him to sort through. Photo albums, jewelry, books, keepsakes from 8 decades of living. At the bottom of an old music box, he finds an envelope with his name written in Anna's handwriting. Inside is a letter, dated 1 week before she died. "My dearest Jeffrey," it begins. "If you're reading this, it means I've gone ahead to see what comes next. I'm not afraid, because you gave me the most beautiful send-off anyone could ask for. I want you to know that these past 2 years watching you grow into the artist and man you've become have been the greatest joy of my long life. You've struggled with your father's legacy, with Scott's death, with finding your own path, but you need to understand something. You're not Tim Buckley's son trying to prove himself. You're not Scott's brother carrying his pain. You are Jeffrey Scott Buckley, and your music is unlike anything I've ever heard. The promise I asked you to make about not performing Hallelujah in concert wasn't because the song isn't beautiful enough for audiences. It was because what we shared in that hospital room was too precious to recreate. That song, sung with that much love in that moment, became something sacred, something just for us. But I need you to understand, that doesn't mean you stop sharing your gift with the world. It means you remember that music is love made audible. Every time you perform, every time you record, every time you sing for anyone, you're doing holy work. Don't hide your pain in your music, Jeffrey. Transform it. Don't run from the sadness, use it to help other people feel less alone with their own sadness. That's what great artists do. They take their broken places and turn them into bridges. I love you more than words can express. Sing beautifully, sing bravely, sing like you sang to me. With all my love, Grandma Anna. P.S. Mine and that's the song you wrote called Graces? That's the song I'm most proud of. It sounds like acceptance feels, like forgiveness tastes, like love looks when it's not asking for anything in return. That song is going to matter to people for a very long time. Jeff reads the letter 3 times, crying harder each time. Then he does something he hasn't done since Anna died. He picks up his guitar. He starts playing Grace, the song Anna mentioned in her letter. As he plays, he can hear her voice harmonizing in his memory, can feel her presence in the room. For the first time since the hospital, music doesn't hurt, it heals. Never the following months, Jeff keeps his promise about Hallelujah. He never performs it in concert again, never records it officially. When fans request it, he politely declines. When journalists ask why he stopped playing one of his most beloved covers, he simply says, "Some songs are too sacred to share." But Anna's death changes his music in other ways. His performances become more intimate, more emotionally direct. He starts talking to audiences between songs, sharing stories, creating connection. He begins to understand what Anna meant about music being love made audible. In interviews, Jeff starts talking about his grandmother's influence on his understanding of music's purpose. He tells reporters that the most important performance of his career happened for an audience of one person in a hospital room. He explains that his grandmother taught him the difference between entertainment and ministry, between performing and healing. Music isn't about impressing people, he says in a 1997 interview. It's about connecting with people. It's about taking your most honest feelings and sharing them in a way that helps other people access their own honest feelings. My grandmother understood that better than any music industry professional I've ever met. Jeff carries Anna's letter with him everywhere. It's in his guitar case during recording sessions for what would become sketches for My Sweetheart the Drunk. It's in his pocket during his final performances. It's with him in Memphis when he goes to the river. After Jeff's death, Mary finds the letter among his belongings. She has it framed, hangs it in her living room where she can see it every day. Visitors often ask about the letter. And Mary tells them the story of Anna's final days, of the promise Jeff made and kept, of how a dying woman's love shaped one of the most beautiful voices in music history. The letter becomes part of Jeff Buckley's legacy. Music writers reference it when discussing the spiritual dimension of his work. Musicians cite it when talking about the responsibility that comes with artistic gifts. Fans share it online when they want to explain why Jeff's music feels different from other artists' work. But for Mary, the letter represents something even more precious. It's proof that Anna got to see Jeff become the man she always believed he could be. It's evidence that their final goodbye was perfect, that no words were left unsaid, that love found its voice when it mattered most. 25 years after Anna's death, a vinyl bootleg recording surfaces. Someone, possibly a nurse, possibly another visitor, recorded Jeff singing Hallelujah in the hospital room that September day. The recording is poor quality, filled with background noise, interrupted by medical equipment sounds, but the performance is devastating. Jeff's voice, raw with grief and love, carrying Leonard Cohen's words like a prayer. Anna's breathing audible in the background, sometimes joining in with hummed harmony, the sound of two people who love each other sharing music in the face of goodbye. The recording becomes legendary among Jeff Buckley collectors, not because of its rarity, but because of its purity. It captures something that was never meant to be captured, the moment when music becomes something larger than art, when a song becomes a bridge between worlds. Music critics who hear the bootleg say it's the most moving performance of Hallelujah ever recorded, that it makes Leonard Cohen's original and even Jeff's famous studio versions sound like rehearsals for this moment, that it proves Anna Buckley was right. Some songs are too sacred to share, too powerful for stages, too precious for anything but love. But those who knew Jeff best understand why he never performed Hallelujah publicly again after Anna died. It wasn't about the song being too sacred. It was about the promise being too important. Because Jeff Buckley understood, in the end, what his grandmother tried to teach him, that the most beautiful music happens when no one is listening except the person who needs to hear it most. That the most powerful performances are the ones that heal instead of impress. That sometimes, love made audible is meant for an audience of one. Anna Buckley's last words to her grandson weren't really about music at all. They were about the choice every artist faces. Do you use your gift to serve yourself or to serve love? Jeff made his choice in room 314 of New York Presbyterian Hospital, singing Hallelujah to a dying woman who raised him to believe that music was medicine, that voices were meant for healing, and that the most sacred songs are the ones sung with tears in your eyes and a breaking heart that's somehow full of gratitude. He kept that choice for the rest of his life. The song lived on, but the performance belonged forever to Anna. But there's more to this story. In a postscript that reveals the true depth of what happened in that hospital room. 6 months after Jeff's own death in Memphis, Mary was cleaning out his apartment when she discovered something extraordinary. Hidden in the back of his guitar case, wrapped in one of Anna's handkerchiefs, was a small digital recorder. On it was Jeff's voice, recorded just 3 days after Anna's funeral, September 27, 1996. I don't know why I'm recording this. Maybe because I need to remember exactly how it felt. Or maybe because someday I want to understand what really happened in that hospital room. People keep asking me how I'm handling Grandma's death, and I tell them I'm sad, which is true. But what I can't explain is that I'm also grateful? Not that she died, obviously, but that I got to be with her, that she chose me to be with her in those final hours. I keep thinking about what she said, about music being medicine, about love made audible. I've been performing for years, making records, trying to build a career, but I never understood what music was actually for until I sang to her in that room. When I was singing Hallelujah to Grandma, I wasn't thinking about Leonard Cohen's lyrics or my own interpretation or how my voice sounded. I was just present, completely present with someone I loved who was leaving, and the music became something it had never been before. It became a bridge, not between performer and audience, but between this world and whatever comes next. I know I promised her I'd never perform that song in concert again, and I won't, but not because it's too sacred to share. Because what made it sacred wasn't the song, it was the love. And you can't recreate that kind of love. You can only receive it when it's offered, and offer it when it's needed. I think that's what she wanted me to learn, that the difference between music and magic is presence. The difference between performing and healing is intention. She didn't need me to sing perfectly. She needed me to sing lovingly. And maybe that's what everyone needs. Always. Not perfect music, but loving music. The recording continued for another 10 minutes, with Jeff talking about childhood memories with Anna, about the guilt he felt for not visiting her more often while she was sick, about how her death was changing his understanding of his own mortality.